a quick video. Honestly, I'm just like sitting in my bed watching some YouTube videos right now. So I was like, hey, I'll do this. So there is a um, tag or whatever on the whole booktube thing that's about your reading habits and how you read and stuff. And so I figured if I was going to talk about some books, maybe you guys would want to know how I read and like what kind of books I read and stuff. Maybe you don't give a crap. I don't care. So I'm just gonna make it. Um, so yeah, that that was a great introduction. Yeah. So I'm just gonna start because I have no idea how else to do this. Okay, so the first question is, do you have a certain place at home for reading? Right here in my bed is one of my favorite places. The only thing is that, when you read and you're in bed, sometimes like you have to move all around, and I can fall asleep sometimes. So, I will read downstairs on the couch a lot. And then I read a lot at work, on my breaks, and I listen to audiobooks while I work. So, I do it there, and then like, I'll take myself, out to a restaurant or something, and I'll bring a book, and so I'll do that. So I tend to read outside the home, I think more than I do inside the home. I'm working on that because I don't like it. Um, I want to read more at home. So I'm working on reading a little bit more at home, and that's why I've been bringing some more of my books home with me at the end of a work day. Um, but yeah, so mainly I read outside the home. I get a lot of my reading done at work, whether it be audiobook or an actual book on my breaks. So that's where I read. Do you use a bookmark or a random piece of paper? Usually I only have like a random piece of paper, like a receipt or a folded up random piece of paper or a postcard or a sticky note. Sometimes I'll like draw on a piece of paper and make it kind of pretty. Um, but I don't really have that many bookmarks, and when I do, I tend to either lose them or they just sit in a book that I've already read and I never know I have it because it's sitting on my shelf. So, piece of paper or something. Sometimes I will dog ear as well, especially if it's like one of the small paperbacks. I dog ear those all the time. Um, Third question is, can you just stop reading or do you have to stop at the end of a chapter? Because I read on my breaks at work, I kind of just have to stop reading mid-sentence sometimes, and it doesn't really bother me. I tend to read a lot of books at the same time, so I don't really have an issue with remembering what's going on in the story, which helps a lot. um, but yeah, so if I can, I like to get to the end of a paragraph or end of a chapter, but because of where I read, I tend to just end up stopping wherever I stop. Um, Number four, do you eat or drink while reading? I usually prefer to at least have something to drink because I'm always thirsty. Uh, yeah. So, I don't usually eat much. Sometimes I'll snack, but I pretty much always have to have a drink, of some sort. And let's see. So number five is, can you multitask? Do you listen to music or watch TV while reading? I can't really watch TV while I read because words and I get distracted way too easy. So no, I can't watch TV. Sometimes I can listen to music with words if it's music that I know. Like I can put on a 90s alternative rock station or something, and because I already know all the words, um, it's easier for me to tune it out yet still enjoy the music. But usually I do something, like classical music or just something that doesn't have words, um, just because otherwise I hear those words in my head while I read and it kind of screws up my comprehension. So sort of, but if nothing else, I tend to do it either with silence or just classical music or something. Do you read one book at a time or several all at once? There we go. I read a lot of books at once, and usually I have totally different genres. The video I made yesterday, um, pretty much only had like YA witch books and Snow White retelling and whatever. And sometimes, yeah, all of my books are one genre, and then other times, most recently I've been doing a lot of sci-fi books, but I also have finished quite a few fantasy series recently, and also a couple of contemporaries and um, some nonfiction. So, I mean, I'm kind of all over the place, but usually I have at least one book in paper format, paper, hardback, whatever. And then I always have a audiobook to listen to while I'm at work. Usually I only have one at a time just because my phone can't fit that many. But sometimes I'll have two and I'll go back and forth. It just really depends. If I'm having a narrator that I don't like, sometimes I'll need to have a different voice in my head while I work. So sometimes I'll listen to multiple audiobooks, but usually just one. I used to do a lot of Kindle books. I don't do as many Kindle books right now just because I can't do those while I'm working and taking the Kindle like outside on my breaks if it's raining or something. I don't want to hurt the pretty shiny things. So yeah, I tend to read a lot of books at once, and I love it. I get bored with just one book at a time. One story at a time. I always want more, and my moods change, and so I always want something different. So yeah, that was a rambly answer. Um, do you like to read at home or everywhere? I feel like that's similar to one I already answered, but maybe that was just the way I answered it. I tend to read everywhere more often than I do at home, so I can read anywhere, and it's cool. Do you read aloud or silently? Who the fuck is reading their books aloud to themselves? More power to you if you can do that, but no, if I have to listen to my own voice, I won't listen to anything I say. It's kind of like when you give advice to other people, but you don't take it for yourself. If I read a book to myself, I don't comprehend it near as well. Someone reading a book to me, I enjoy that, or if someone wants me to read a book to them, I enjoy that. But it's usually easier if it's either a book I've already read or one that I don't really care about, or it's a kid's book or something that's easy. Um, but yeah, definitely in my head, I'd get a lot of weird looks if I read out loud a lot. Um, do you read ahead or skip pages? I don't skip pages, and I won't read the ending of books unless I've already read the ending and I'm just double checking I remember what happened. Excuse me. Um, Sometimes I'll accidentally read ahead. I notice that my eyes flick sometimes, and if I'm not like closely watching where I am in a book, then sometimes I'll like lose my spot if I get a random thought in my head and I'll have to search the page for what I'm doing and I'm like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Like, don't spoil me. But yeah, so I try not to, but sometimes it happens accidentally. Um, do you break the spine or keep it new? I used to keep all my books as new as possible, but honestly, lately I have loving my books. Like, I want to break them, I want to bend them, I want to dog ear them, I want to annotate them, I want to write in them. I want them to be loved. I think part of that is because I've been getting a lot of my books at Goodwill recently, which great prices. Um, and it's just really cool. I found a lot of books that have a lot of cool notes or other things in them, that just like make me look at the book a different way. I also found one that was signed by the author, and it was just really cool. So yeah, I think lately I'm doing a lot more breaking. There are certain books that, I just want to keep them special and gorgeous. But I think for the most part, I want my books to be loved. I want it to be shown that it's loved, and whoever gets the books after me, whether I give them away or, you know, whenever I die or whatever, whoever gets my books, I want them to know what stories I loved and possibly why as they read it or something. Who knows? So I'm excited to change some of my ways in that. Oh, and hey, do you write in books? It's something new that I'm attempting to get into. Um, it's still hard for me to kind of break out of the story to make a note and then get back into it. And then also like fitting my notes in the margins of the book can be a little bit difficult. And so I'm just like, you know, I want it to look legible, I want it to look okay, but also, I want this note to be in there for whatever reason, either for my own reading purposes or whoever else or whatever. Um, so I'm trying to get into that. I really am, because sometimes it would just be really cool to reread a book and then be able to know where my head was when I read it the first time. Um, like when you read Harry Potter for the first time and now you're 30 and you want that magic back of reading them for the first time and not knowing what was going to happen. It'd be really cool if I had some like notes and things that I made when I was 11 and 12 and 13. Like how cool would that be to still have those books that my 11, 12, 13 year old self read? Like awesome. Um, Obviously they came out for freaking ever, so I wasn't 13 when they were all out. So whatever. Um, yeah, so I think that is all the questions. I did it. I did it. I did it. And it's only 12 minutes long. I didn't ramble too long. I rambled. I always ramble. But hey, it's another video. So that's exciting. So I don't know, it's a tag thing. So if you want to do it, you should do it and you're tagged and Danae, you're tagged. I don't know if it'll happen, but you're the one person I'm gonna specifically call out. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I will see you guys later and I will talk about some more books. Okay, bye.